the first thing we have to do here is name the longest carbon chain. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to be like this. Okay? So that would be my longest carbon chain. You could have picked maybe another branch. You could have gone down this way or this way, but remember that I always say, as long as you get to the same place at the end, it doesn't really matter. Okay? So it looks like this is going to be, according to my root, this is going to be a hexanol. Okay? So let's look at the substituents. How many do I have? It seems like I have 4, and they're all the same thing. Okay? So this is going to be a tetramethyl. Okay? Now I just have to figure out which side gets the 1. Is this going to be my 1, or is this going to be my 1? Oh, I was trying to use green there. Okay? So will it be blue, or will it be green? And the answer is that, remember that alcohol beats all, so I'm going to give my highest priority to the side that's closest to the alcohol, so it has to be blue. So I'm going to go in this direction. Okay? What that means is that the locations of my substituents are 2, my modifier will be at 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So if I were to get the entire name down, what it would turn into is 2, 2, 4, 5, tetramethyl. Okay? And now I've got to say the location of my modifier or my functional group. So I'm going to say, and then 3 hexanol. Okay? Now keep in mind that we could have also used a new school method here and put the 3 within the hexanol. So I could have said tetramethyl hexanthreol. That would have been perfectly acceptable as well. So now, usually I would be done with this problem. But guess what? If your professor gives you this problem in this chapter, he doesn't want you to stay there. Now he wants you to identify, okay, are there any chiral centers present? And do I know what they are? So let's erase some stuff. Do we have any chiral centers present? Actually, it turns out that we have more than one. There's a chiral center here, because there's 4 different groups on that atom. There's also a chiral center here. But there's actually a difference between these 2 chiral centers. One of them is given to me explicitly. It has a wedge or a dash, so I can tell if it's R or if it's S based on the rules. Whereas the blue one, no information is being given to me. I don't know if this is on the wedge. I don't know if it's on the dash. There's no way for me to tell if it's R or S. So I'm not going to include this chiral center in my name. Why? Because I don't know what it is. It could be either R or S. So the only one I can include is the red one. Okay? So now let's go ahead and erase that and figure out what our groups are. So I must have a hydrogen in the front. Okay? I must have, and then obviously, like, I'm going to go ahead and name these groups. So then my 1 has to be on the O. My 4 has to be on the H. But then what about these alkyl chains? Where would they be? What would they be? Well, it turns out that this is going to be a tie again. So this would be C here and C here. And what we would find out is that this C, if I were to go ahead and say what it's attached to 3 C's. Whereas this one over here is attached to only 2 C's and then an H. Okay, because it has an H coming off of it. Okay, which one's going to win? This one's going to win and get the 2, and this one's going to lose and get the 3. Okay, now that I have my priorities set, I can go ahead and use the rules. Is my number 4 in the back? Is my number 4 on the dash? No, it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch these out, and I'm going to replace them. Okay, so now I just put 4 on the dash, 1 in the wedge, and now we're going to go ahead and trace, ignoring 4. Here, here, and here. Okay? So what does that look like to you? That looks counterclockwise, so that should be an S. But it turns out that I swapped, so I'm going to have to swap again. This is actually going to be an R. So the way that I indicate this in my name is I put it at the front, parentheses, with a dash. So this is actually going to be R2245 tetramethyl 3-hexanol. The way that I know where the R is if I drew it out, this would be the R for the chiral center that is indicated here. Okay? Cool. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and move on to the next question.